Green Beret Commander, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and entrepreneur, Sean Patton is your Leadership After Hours podcast host. Real talk with real leaders. Presented by Stronger Leaders, Stronger Profits.
Welcome to Leadership After Hours podcast. I am here with Emilia Dancica, who is the founder and managing partner of Growth Molecules. She's a speaker. She's the author of Pressing On as a Tech Mom. And as we'll get into, she's also on boards and an investor and just an amazing mentor for people. So I am so blessed and so excited to have you on today, Emilia. Thanks for being here.
Sean, thanks for having me and for saying my last name right.
Well, we had to practice a bit before we get started, but I wanted to do my best. You are doing and have done so many things, and we'll get into just your wealth of experience, and you've got so many nuggets of wisdom, I believe, for our audience. But as I, did a little research before this, I noticed that, you have multiple companies. You're an investor. I know you're active speaking because that's how I know you. And you're also, you're an author, you're a mom, you've got all this stuff going on. So I imagine there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with juggling everything and looking at you and saying, all right, how the hell does she do this? So what's your secrets? What systems do you use to be successful in so many areas?
Yeah, I will start by saying you have to throw away perfection and trying to do it all and do it all well. That once I was able to embrace that the house isn't always going to be spotless. I'm going to forget picking up my children, guilty of it, where I'm getting the calls, hi, are you coming? Completely forgotten. And then also that you need to lean on people who can do things better than you. So I don't proclaim that I can do it all. I have incredible people that help me every single day do what I do. And by accepting that you can't be everything, but you can be really good at things you're passionate about, then you're willing to let go of the rest. And it feels so good when you're able not only to help other people make a living and impact their lives with what they're really good at, but then you can really thrive where you excel most.
When you said you've got all these great people around you, and I think that, as people grow in companies, especially as founders, I always see, and I mean, I've struggled in my own companies, how you go from one and then maybe a couple or two, but then when you start getting even bigger, and it can no longer be just like a force of personality, like what sort of like systems or what's your first priorities as you start to build a team?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that if you're a good leader and you invest in people that you hire, that you will not only, even though it takes more time at the beginning, you are going to get 10x more dedication and quality work out of the people and not waiting for those quarterly or yearly business reviews. I don't believe in them at all. I believe in real-time feedback. So our company really practices that. After we have an executive business review with a client kickoff, we huddle on Slack and give each other feedback. I'm the first to say, give me feedback as your leader. I want to continuously get better. And that's what our company is really based on. We believe, and that's what Growth Molecules means, is that if you believe in continuous growth and opportunity for improvement, you will experience exponential growth. And you have to start there. That is number one for processes. Put in systems, right? So once you agree on what is your ethos, what do you stand for, what do you do, how are you going to scale it? So yes, we use Slack for collaboration, the G Suite, even contracts we sign with clients, they have editing access to what we're writing because we want their feedback in real time. We don't want to write 10 proposals. We want to have a living document that we're collaborating on so that we have shared goals and we know exactly what the end's going to look like for success and work from there. We're a HubSpot house, so lots of collaboration in there and really believe in real time. Real-time collaboration is critical, especially in an age where some people are in the office, some people are 100% remote. And then like you and me, Sean, we travel so much. I told my partner I'm gone most of May, and you could just feel his eyes rolling. But it's life. You have to be able to collaborate in real time, and these kind of systems really help.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I think that how I see a lot of organizations running clients I work with is there's really the downward almost communication that needs to happen of intent and vision and everything. But then it just has to cycle back up to the top through feedback. And that's where I see a lot of companies not have those great processes, not get to immediate feedback. So all the information is getting pumped down, but those decisions aren't being fed by real time information from the people actually doing the work, right?
Right. Right. And you know what, for the generation that's in the workforce, for the Gen Ys, uh they really care about real-time feedback. I have a son who's in his 20s, and he has left positions because he has said, I'm no longer growing. I feel isolated. I'm just told what to do without feedback or opportunities to learn. I'm too young to be stuck in a job like that. And so it really matters to people maybe at their first to fourth job. But honestly, even now that I own my own company, I still want feedback, right? Not only from clients every time we go through an engagement, and we don't ask for feedback at the end. We ask for feedback throughout because we want to improve. Well, so do your employees. And I think that's really important to remember as a leader.
Yeah, I'm sure you're seeing this even more in tech because I'm a huge proponent of the fact that I agree. I think especially with I'm in that young millennial. I'm kind of like between I guess millennial and Gen X. He was born I'm 41 right now, and everyone I would say younger than me in the workforce, it's not just, oh, it'd be nice if I get some development here. It's like part of the almost contract between the employee and employer is, no, you're going to develop me and make me better, and not just better in on the job skills, I think, but more proficient as a person, right? Like better mindset, better personal habits, all that stuff. I think that is starting to become not the exception, but the expectation, at least of the high performing employees that you want around you, right?
Right. And Sean, even with interns right now, because every summer I love supporting people in school and making sure that they have job experience. I've had several people come to me and say, I'm willing to work for you for free. I just want to learn. Now, I think that's crazy, and I refuse to let people work for free. I'm paying them, and it's actually illegal in California to hire someone without paying them, which I think is the right and just thing to do. But I will say that that type of dedication to learning just shows how important it is to people entering the workforce, and why companies should make it a critical part of people's jobs is continuous learning.
Awesome. I think that's a great segue to talking about these early entry workers and sort of their mindset coming in. And I'm I'm interested. I grew up in the Midwest in Kansas, went in the army after that, and I've been most on the East Coast. But uh, you've always been a West Coast person, but originally from Canada. So when you got into the workforce, why? What was that early experience like for you? Because you went to college in British Columbia, is that right?
Yes, I did. So I am an immigrant from Italy, got my first degree at the University of British Columbia, and really had that family of six children, very loud, have to be very loud if you want your parents' attention, especially when they're both working in a pizzeria 14-hour days. You bet that you're working, and very loud person. But because I was brought up in Canada for part of my life, I learned the more British way of communicating. And so coming to the United States, where I got my first corporate job when I was 22, after graduating, I had to learn new skills. As much as people sometimes think Canadians are just like Americans, we're not. We have some differences, and so some of the business communication is also different. So I really had to learn that different style. And then, of course, coming to Silicon Valley in late 99, wow, it was just really moving very fast, lots of VC money. There were so many startups trying to get the attention of buyers when the subscription economy was being essentially born. And so that was my beginnings of my career in Silicon Valley. And it was just such an exciting time. And I think that really set up the foundation of who I am today and what I do, is because once you work and you thrive in that tech scene in the San Francisco Bay Area, it's hard to leave it if you find your niche. And mine happens to be customer success, and I found it.
Yeah. So what was I guess the decision point, right? Like when did you see, oh, I want to move from, doing all the great work you're doing with companies and I want to go out on my own. I want to start Growth Molecule. Like what was the impetus for that decision?
Yeah, there's several, but I will narrow it down to two. One, once I got my MBA from St. Mary's College of California, and I focused on global competition and strategy, worked and studied in New Zealand, India, Thailand. I really felt like I had the skills I needed to really start my own business. I'd already started a, a real estate investment company with my husband on the side as a side hustle. So I was already getting my feet wet at night and on the weekends. And then after I achieved that chief customer officer title, and one weekend my youngest daughter was crying because she really wanted her caretaker, the woman who took care of her when mom and dad were at work. And she didn't want me. She wanted someone else. And that was so painful, just holding back those tears. I just realized, wow, I had children for someone else to bring them up. And I have to change my life if I want to have any sort of relationship, especially with my youngest. And so I decided now's the time to start my own company. I'm lucky that some of the companies I did work for went public and got acquired. And so using that money, having a partner in life who has always trusted what I want to do and really supported me, said, great, go for it. And the first year was hard, Sean. I made less than half of what I was used to and zero benefits. When clients weren't ringing the door, there was no money. And you have to have resilience, grit, uh, belief in yourself, and you have to get over imposter syndrome quickly. You have to be willing to accept rejection after rejection to survive as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, resilience as an entrepreneur is so critical, and I'm sure as you've grown your own companies, that's really helped inform you and your team to address your clients with Growth Molecule. So, I guess let's start off with: do you have a certain type of company that you work with primarily?
Yes. So for the clients that we work with, the biggest challenges that they have are convincing their colleagues, their board, that they can go faster with consultants. And Sean, it's so interesting. When we have to come in and support these leaders, we're able to show the executives, look, if we just help you save one client, just one client, a quarter, a year, how much are they spending? Some of those clients are spending 6 and 7 figures. Well, we cost a fraction of that. And then it's suddenly a no-brainer. The leaders that really succeed, they don't even need our help selling customer success professional expertise like ours. They understand that they've got quotas and goals to achieve, and they only have their first 90 or 100 days. If they can bring in a firm that's going to help them go so much faster so that they can focus on the people, it is incredible what we're able to achieve together. So the leaders are, there's two camps of them, some that are not able to convince and some that are. And then actually that you might say there are those on the fence that they know they need help, but maybe their ego's getting in the way. Maybe they're not be able to delegate to their team or be honest with the executive saying, hey, here are the challenges that our team is having. Here's what we need to be successful. And I don't have all the answers. That takes a lot of pride that you have to remove and like have really honest conversations. And so those are really some of the biggest challenges that we're seeing right now, as there's so much pressure on customer success executives to protect and grow revenue. And that's where we're at right now, especially post COVID. Tech is being hit really hard. You're continuing to see that there's a lot of struggle with companies, and they're laying people off. So that's what we're seeing right now across the board in tech.
So Amelia, when someone hires you and you get past the pride and they recognize they need help, and your team comes in and they hire maybe you as their fractional CCO, what's your process like from the work with the client to do an assessment and decide what the right course of action is? Do you have a set protocol you do, or is it based on assessment? Like, how do you address that?
Well, I'll start by saying I try really hard not to be a fractional leader. I have a whole team of former chief customer officers, chief operating officers, and global leaders who can do this better than I can. I've been doing it for years as a fractional leader, and now it's their turn to shine. But what we do is really a team approach. Even though you're getting a fractional leader 2 to 3 days a week, we believe we can accomplish way more than having someone full-time in that role, especially for companies who are in two buckets. One, who have been through several leaders and are getting the wrong fit. Maybe it was the wrong fit for the leader. Maybe it was the wrong fit for the company. And now the team morale is shot and they're very worried about bringing in a third person. I've been that third chief fractional officer coming in. The team's very distrusting, worried they're going to get fired. They don't know what's happening, this constant change. And so we either go into roles like that, or the company's either not big enough or not really sure what they want. So they bring us in to help them identify three main things. It's, do we have the right people in seat? And if not, how do we get them there? And if we can't get them there, what's the profile we need to hire? What is the data and the org look like? So how many customers can they manage? Should they be upselling and cross-selling, renewing? What should they be doing all day? Then we look at their processes. If you have the best people in the world and everyone's doing their own thing, you will never scale. So you need a playbook. You need a playbook for being able to say no, being able to identify opportunities, and being able to work collectively to help each other when there are challenges. So you need that playbook, and it needs to be dynamic, agile. So as your client needs change, your product is enhanced, company leadership changes, you can go and have playbooks that are agile and can change with you. And then most importantly, I would say once you have the right people and processes, you need a place to scale, and that's tech, right? We work predominantly with B2B companies, sometimes B2B2C. And if they don't have the right tech in place, how are you measuring success? And this is so cliche, but companies that don't measure, they have nothing to measure and work towards, then what is success, right? You have to at least have a foundation of, you know what, we think we can achieve these numbers, and then here's some stretch goals. What happens if we meet those stretch goals? Suddenly you've got a whole team, an army wanting to be that winner that hits those quotas, those numbers. And to be able to track it on a weekly cadence in a system is incredibly powerful. Just to pay someone a yearly fee, annual salary, not everyone's happy with a paycheck that's just so predictable. You feel like you're part of something if you have an extra incentive, whether it's, a big party out with your team celebrating that you won that competition. inside of us, we all want to win, right? We're human. We want to survive. We want to win. And that's how we go in as fractional leaders, 2 to 3 days a week, looking at people, process, systems, getting executive buy-in, and then moving forward with change that is going to be uncomfortable. But if you set up companies knowing that, hey, this change is coming, you have to tell them 7 times in advance and then go through the change with them with open office hours, we are so much more successful. And we have several case studies around, how you should be a fractional leader and here's what to expect. And it's really rewarding.
Yeah, that's so cool. I know one thing that I love about what I do now too, working with different companies, is I learn so much, by getting
Yeah.
in and about different industries and different processes, and get to pull that in and bring that into my own company. And when I hear about you as a fractional leader and sort of and when you work with your clients, but also how you work with your team, you mentioned, we talked a little bit about your personal leadership style and empowering people, but like what values are driving you to grow your company and to lead others? Like what's behind that? Like, what's your motivation to keep going?
So, Sean, I think through Heroic, you and I can probably agree that everyone has a gift. And some people are really shy to admit it. And it took me a long time to realize what my gift was. And I think it's people. And so I grew up in a pizzeria or on a farm where we were growing a lot of the food that we would bring to the restaurant. And just constantly having people visit our farm to either buy vegetables or help us with the farm or working in a restaurant. I just loved being around people and I loved seeing the smile on on their faces when they receive that nourishment, that happy food pizza. And I love listening to people, hearing about their stories. Everyone has a unique story, and being able to talk to people and help them and seeing them succeed is what brings me great passion. And so I think that is what the gift I want to give forward and pay forward. And that's what motivates me to do what I do every day. I could find a way to retire and work at a restaurant again. And while it's a very stressful job, probably less stressful than what I do today, but I don't want to. I like this challenge. I love challenging myself. And like you, I learn from every single client I work with. And that's what motivates me to get up every day and do what I do.
I love that. So on this same topic, what was your drive to, I guess, write and now lead pressing on for around mothers and technology?
Yeah, so that is definitely a joint effort that was starting during COVID. My co-author, Sabina Pons, she's also the managing director at Growth Molecules. We are both mothers. My children are older, teen and adult. I have 3 children. She has 2, and they're younger, under 10. And we have very similar but different struggles. And what we saw happening in tech during COVID were droves of women leaving. They were trying to handle children on Zoom calls, trying to learn as young as kindergarten, grade 1, and then their partners working full time, they're working full time, or maybe single parents. And it was hard. And guess who left their work? It was the women. It quickly became very apparent that women make less than men. The men kept the jobs. And we found so much broken in the system, especially in tech. So we went and researched and surveyed over 300 women globally. We made this about women globally. They're not all white like us. We feature 12 of them with different backgrounds, coming from different types of companies, some women over 50, others young mothers, others who had left tech. Um, uh, One woman describes her and her partner, what she was viewed as an executive before she decided to have the baby with her partner, and how people treated her differently after being a mother. They stopped inviting her to places. So we really let these women shine, the 12 that agreed to share their stories so publicly. I do as well. Sabina talks about her postpartum depression. I talk about in suddenly being a mother to an 11-year-old when I married my partner, and what it was like to be seen as the stepmom. So, we shared those stories and tried to be authentic as possible, even if it was painful, because we wanted women to know they weren't alone going through COVID and trying to handle work. And today we're so happy. A record number of women are going back to work, and in fact, more women than men. And to me, that's so empowering and rewarding, because when a woman can earn her own money, she can control more of her own life and can better take care of her children. And that's what we really want to give, and continuously send that message to the world. We are fully capable of being independent and earning money.
I love that. My wife works in tech and sales, and you know, I think her company is trying, but she's had to kind of stand up as one of the kind of few women leaders in the company, with things around, maternity leave and quotas as they come back and expectations. And she's really taken a outsized role in her company, on these issues. So what would you advise, or what have you seen with companies? Like, what are best practices, um, for companies that want to make sure that they have these great women in their workforce, and they're not even unconsciously or inadvertently creating cultures that are pushing them out? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, well, I mean, Emily Chang, she's a reporter for Bloomberg. She wrote this incredible book, Brotopia, and that book just, wow! I thought, Emily, you're writing about my life in 20 years of being in tech, and what some of the things that I've been subjected to. And while companies like Google, Apple, they say they're trying. Um, they're also being called out, and to say, well, we can't find any women, there aren't women applying, we need someone in seat as quickly as possible, we give up. That's a poor excuse. There are plenty of women engineers out there that you can be hiring. You have to open that door and be more willing, right, to go outside the top Ivy League schools and the places you traditionally look. I'm really excited that more and more companies are having a DEI officer. That didn't exist when I went to school. Chief Customer Officer didn't exist. So all of these roles that are coming up that are demanding more equality are not only good for more women getting in the workforce, but it's good for business. Study after study has showed that when you have a more diverse workforce, the company does better. After all, not everyone, Sean, looks like you or me that is buying our products. They have different needs. They look different. They serve different people. And so if you have people that look like them, understand them, they're more likely to buy from you and trust your brand. And that's what's really important for companies to remember as they're thinking about, what are you showing on your website? When I work with companies, I go right away and look at who are the board of directors, who's in leadership. If I see zero women, suddenly there's a huge red flag right there. You are turning away people by having a page that shows zero people that look like them. And so that's another way you can become more inviting. Women, people of color, is make your company look more like them. They will instantly trust you more or be willing to apply.
Mm, I love that. It's funny. I hadn't thought about this for a while, but my my other business is a martial arts company. I think we talked about it a little bit, but
Yeah.
and we do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And you just reminded me that, a lot of times I'll have, one of my students who's either like moving, or they're going to go travel, and they're like, I'm going to Atlanta for a week. Where should I train? Because they want to still do jiu-jitsu while they train. And they ask me as the, the owner and the black belt, where should they go? And my play is always kind of like you said, I go to the website, I go to their social media, and I look at the class photos. And if I see looks like a robust kids program, and I see women in the class, not just in a women's only class, but like a
Mhm.
decent number of women in the regular adult class, I instantly know that culture is probably good.
Yeah, I
The
love
leadership is probably good. It's probably it's every gym you go that I've gone to, uh, which is I think reflective of larger sort of gender constructs. But like if there's more women there, it's going to be more inclusive. It's going to be more welcoming. It's going to be cleaner. Like all those things matter, and it
right.
just and that's so indicative of I think just like a strong culture, regardless of industry, all the way from, you know, tech in Silicon Valley to, what jujitsu gym in Georgia do I go to? Like, it's really, you kind of look at we're sort of looking at similar principles, I think.
Right. I love that. I love that. We actually teach a course in our academy called The Art of No Jitsu. Uh, because customer success people are so nice. They never want to say no. And it's one of our most popular classes. Totally off tangent, but I just had to share that.
I love that. So what are some of the basic principles? How do you teach no jitsu? How do you get people to start setting those boundaries?
Yeah, so it starts with listening. And I think listening, even on a deeper level, is having emotional intelligence. So we teach the four principles of emotional intelligence, EQ, and looking beyond yourself and understanding what does the client want and why is it so urgent, so that you can have better conversations, see if there are ways to help them without having to say no, especially if you don't have that feature in your product. And then being able to explain it more succinctly and confidently to product if it is truly a valuable asset that you think your company can benefit from. But really, it's about making no a win-win situation. If you can't offer them something, like in sales, if you can't offer them a discount, what's a way to win? Maybe you do fewer hours, or maybe they agree to write a case study for you or a G2 review. There's always a way to get to win-win, because if you don't get to win-win, then someone feels like they've been stiffed, right? You risk losing the client. And so that's essentially the art of no jitsu in a nutshell. But in our classes, we role play different scenarios of having to say no or understanding why is this so important. And it gets people out of their comfort zone and more comfortable having those tough conversations.
When you work with companies and you have, maybe distrust, as you mentioned earlier, and or they're struggling internally as a leadership team to have those hard conversations or to get uncomfortable and to be
Mhm.
authentic. What are some strategies or techniques that leaders can use if they want to have more candid and open conversations in their leadership team?
Yeah. I, I I think because we've had so many this year, I feel really happy that you asked me this question. One is spend the money and bring people in a room together, even if it's just for half a day. It's amazing how many barriers are broken when you're in close contact with someone in a room and with a lot of people that have different views of what success looks like or what failure looks like. And as one of our clients called them, we're having a lot of crunchy conversations right now. And of course, there was laughter in the room, but that instantly diffused all the tension in that room. And for the rest of the day, everyone just laughed and said, "Yep, we just had another crunchy conversation. So and so went off the handle on this one thing she or he really wanted." But you know what? It feels really good to humanize a problem and remember that they're humans with reasons behind what they're saying. So if you can't do it in person, we recently had to do this in January, is the people were spread out. There was urgency to build this customer journey map. and launch it in a customer success platform they were relaunching. And so we put people in Miro groups, and Miro is a platform great for collaboration. And it was really interesting to put them through scenarios and see how many silos were at this company and the result, what it was resulting in. And ultimately, the end goal, we just finished this 4-week or 4-month engagement. They acknowledged that while that engagement, specifically the journey mapping, was so hard, it created a lot of tension even towards us. They did not want to do it. The end result was incredible, right? They were able to launch this system on time with actual playbooks that their customer success team is now able to use and actually lead customers to success through this journey that didn't exist before. So that's what I say, like, invest the money, get these people in a room, and if you can't, block their calendars to do it virtually, where they really focus on what does success look like for the customer and what does the company need to do to get there.
I love that. I pulled out of that was intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like being intentional by setting it up and facilitating that, uh, as opposed to just, assuming that people are having the right conversations at the right time and being open and honest, but really being intentional about that communication. And I think that's so important. Um, I want to ask you about speaking, because that's how I met you, as I wrote public speaking. And I'm kind of assuming, but tell me if I'm wrong, that you've done speaking a lot over your career. Why did you go to Heroic, and how has that shifted in sort of your topic and focus recently?
Yeah, I will tell you, I was really looking for something that would take me out of my comfort zone, and acting is not at all my forte. I am not an actor in any way, shape, or form, and have a newfound respect for actors after graduating from Heroic. It really took me out of my comfort zone, writing my own speech, coming up with original content, practicing the same line over and over and over again, and getting feedback was at times frustrating, uh, very uncomfortable. And it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted someone to push me over the edge and have me try things I would have never tried on my own. And just to be vulnerable in a group in front of people like you, Sean, where I didn't know before, and thinking, wow, what are these people thinking of me as I try all these weird things, say these things incorrectly. I'm shaking at one point during one of my speeches in those rooms. I'll never forget, but I think the relationships we've all built and the new skills that we have to be able to speak more eloquently, succinctly, and with more confidence. Like, I believe in everything I'm saying. I know not everyone's going to agree with me, but it works for me. And that's what matters right now. And so that's what I got out of it. Exactly what I wanted, getting out of my comfort zone and learning new skills.
So the talk that you're working on, what's your topic?
Yeah, so it's called the brown box economy, and it is all about a subscription economy and how to get your customers to become almost addicted to your products, just like Amazon has created a society where we become addicted to knowing when that brown box is going to land at our front door. And if one just landed right now and my phone was going off showing me that the brown box was at my front door, Sean, I'd be trying to end this call as quickly as possible because I want to see what's in the box, right? So it's that's what it is, the brown box economy that we live in.
Wow, yeah, that's such a great example, because it is. I guess I haven't thought about it that way, but it's almost like they created Christmas every morning. When you come downstairs and you're all excited. Well, I get a present every time I order something. Even if I ordered it a week ago, half the time I don't remember what I ordered. So it's still a present to me. So as companies try to create that customer experience similar to that, like how do they do that? How do they go about creating that type of relationship with their customer?
Yeah, it really starts with understanding the pain point of the customer. Why did you create your company in the first place? What is the pain point you're seeking to achieve? And how can you work with your clients to alleviate it over and over again? Because once you've alleviated the first pain, then what? How do you continuously show return on investment? And how do you make it a viral product where you don't even need to market your product? Your clients are your marketers. And I think that really starts with understanding the client pain point. It's essentially that simple, but companies spend millions of dollars building products their customers don't even want. And that's like the failure piece, right? You really have to be hyper focused on clients. And if you're a leader, you should be talking to several clients a week. Like make it part of your routine, having those 15-minute walk and talks.
I like how you just threw out like an amazing nugget there about the making sure the leaders are talking directly with their customers, because so many times when you're removed 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 levels, uh, you do have you don't make time to reach down and have those personal conversations, and I think that's a huge game changer for people. Um, so you've got a lot of things going on, and you've been successful in all these areas, and your kids are getting older. I I'm really intrigued to know, when you look forward, to the next 10 or 20 years of your life, what are you most excited about?
Yeah. Well, I plan to continue growth molecules. I do have two more children to put through college, and they seem to be getting more and more expensive, nearing the six-figure annual fees. So I'll be working for a while, but I really love two things. One, investing in real estate, and I do invest in tech as well. So I continue to invest. I think it's fascinating to me to study different regions, different tech, and risk a little money. And I think all women should be educated in money and investing. So I think that's what I'll continue to do. And then I am a CASA, so I work with children who are in the court system who have been abused or neglected and removed from their home. And so I will continue to do that in Sonoma County. I'm really proud of the work I've done before judges, and I don't plan to stop.
Well, Amelia, this was awesome. You're an inspiration, and when we were even in a group of amazing people, all speakers, all with positive messages, you stood out. So I love what you're doing. It was awesome talking with you, and I look forward to seeing what you do next, because it seems to be amazing every time.
Thanks, Sean, and I'm excited to see what you're doing with your clients and your multiple companies as well. Keep thriving.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership After Hours podcast. If you haven't already, join us in the modern leadership revolution by hitting the subscribe button and giving us a review on whatever platform you listen to or watch the Leadership After Hours podcast. For a better tomorrow, create a new leader today.